Okay, so thanks for tuning into another random palm reading. I've actually been sent this palm over a year ago by a good friend of mine, so I'm doing something a bit different today because I actually know this person quite well. So I'm not going to be, sort of guessing at their career or things that might have happened to them in their life. I'm going to talk about their personality and how the things I know about them relate in palmistry. And I'll try and make a few future predictions as well. But it's always quite difficult with these empty palms. So let's get to it. And what I mean by an empty palm, I suppose, is there's not a lot to go on. There's not many lines on the palm. So just to discuss the chirognomy of the palm, so that is the hand shape and the fingers. And chirognomy is also the texture, the skin color, the sort of flexibility, the nails as well. And there's a certain amount I can do here because he also sent me pictures of the backs of his hands as well. But I mean, overall, looking at this hand, it's a mixed hand. If you wanted to chuck it into one of the Fred Gettings categories, it's a fire hand. So this is an ambitious person, an inspiring person, someone who is a constant mover, a motivator, someone who's motivated and also motivating because they inspire us, as the element has always inspired man. And sometimes fire people in palmistry, they can be very destructive to, in relationships, to themselves, and this inherent destructive nature is part of who they are, and it's also sometimes a very necessary part of their nature. I say destructive, and whenever I mention things about the pros and cons in all the elements of the palm, I don't mean it in necessarily a bad way, because sometimes it's necessary to be to not have that filter and to just speak your mind. Sometimes, without those people in life, we wouldn't be able to make as much progress as we do, because fire hands tend to hold a mirror up to the rest of us in that way. They say what needs to be said in the moment, whether it's conscious or not. And the things that I really want to point out, the things that stand out to me in this palm when I look at it, first of all, is the exceptionally well-developed amount of Luna, Venus as well, the angle of proficiency or time on the thumb itself as well, and the way in which the fingers, they tell a very interesting story in themselves. The fingers have, they're very, very different on the left and the right hand. Now, Mercury, it's deciding to take a journey somewhere else. Apollo and Saturn, they link they're very close together here at the base, very, and also Apollo is quite weak, it's quite thin. So all these things, there's a lot going on here, and I'll break it all down. So first of all, Luna being exceptionally well developed, along with this headline, which with a fantastic arc. This is just a wonderful curve. That's exactly the kind of curve you want to see in a very motivated, energetic, and creative individual. This area of Luna here is all about dreams and creativity, imagination, memory, and also sort of ancestral memories as well. And all these things are kind of linked, and the lines blur, and we sort of forget where we're drawing this inspiration from when we come up with an idea. And this person's headline, the way that it curves down, the length of it, the arc of it, the angle, the depth, in conjunction with just how well developed Luna is, it shows us someone who has an ability to put incredible imagination and creativity into practice, being a fire hand, being someone who is this ambitious and willing to put things into action. And this is why it's so important to look at the chirognomy of the hand. That was a terrible rectangle. Before kind of assessing other Palmer information, because we have to filter through the more complex information through the kind of template that we've arrived at. And also, what this gigantic mount of Luna, this very well mounted Luna, tells us is it's someone who desires someone with an exceptional amount of Luna. It shows us, and you see this with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as well in his palm. I read his palm in one of my case studies, not very well, but it shows us a desire to work in the public eye. It shows us a desire to put our creative talents into working with an audience. And the other sign is, and I've mentioned this a few times, is a career line that stems from Luna as well. We don't see that here, and that is, I believe, because of a couple of other reasons that I'm going to get into. Now, also having a well-developed Luna, the downsides to it are being overly imaginative. When a person becomes depressed and they have exceptional imagination, they might be have a tendency to kind of go to some dark places, because they're just so in tune with these with their imagination. And it can also lead to unrealistic thoughts as well. So, and I suppose that there's other things going on in this palm that negate that, so that's okay. But when you have someone who is not quite sort of grounded or realistic in other ways, so if we were to see a short Jupiter finger that was sort of bent along with this, exceptional Luna mount, then there's things to worry about there. If the headline was, reaching very far down into Luna, we'd have things to worry about there as well, but we don't. So other things in the palm negate that, so that's good. Neptune, this little base here, which a lot of people kind of neglect to mention. Neptune is exceptionally well developed. This person has an ability to captivate an audience, almost to a kind of hypnotic state. Now, Venus it's immensely well developed. Where you see the lifeline, it just shows you just how Venus takes up an exceptional part of the palm here. I mean, the base of the palm itself isn't actually that wide, but it sort of splays outwards like this. We've got a kind of a spatulate palm, and a spatulate palm, it's a very mixed palm, this one. Very unique individual. But a spatulate palm like this shows us someone who's willing to try to recreate, reinvent, and show these ideas outwards to the rest of the world. Very willing to create these ideas and show them to others, and effectively as well. But also what Venus shows us here, Venus acts as the third phalanx of the thumb, and the thumb shows us I will, I want, and I can. And when we have such a large amount of Venus here, a large amount of I can, it means this person, there are no limits to what this person feels that they can do. And being that they have such an exceptional Jupiter finger as well, and with this kind of creativity and this overall sort of energetic ambition, there really isn't anything that can stop this person once they put their mind to it, because they have an exceptional kind of balance between being a doer and a thinker. Most people very much fall on one of the sides of that coin. This person doesn't particularly. They're both, and that's partly why we see such a mixed palm here. We've got lots of different things going on here. Most palmists would struggle to read this palm. So looking at here, you've got an exceptional angle of time here, or proficiency. You see this with people who enjoy a sense of order or routine, but you also see it's called the angle of time for a reason. This person has exceptional rhythm. And looking at the Jupiter finger, the length of it, the strength of it, combined with the creativity in this outward, I want to show off my creativity to the world, in conjunction with the Jupiter finger and Mercury. Mercury does appear to be a little on the short side. However, if you look at the backs of the hand, you actually get a clearer idea. I can get my face out of the way, as to, the lengths of the fingers. And although, yes, Mercury does appear to be slightly on the short side, it doesn't quite reach the first phalanx of Apollo. Actually, it's not short, it's just a little bit low set. And if we want to be really finicky, looking at the left hand, yeah, it's a tiny bit on the short side. But ignore this triangle, by the way. I don't know why that's there. That's very sort of typical of him. Just to throw a spanner in the works. Now, if we look on the right-hand side, look at Mercury. It's actually reaching the first phalanx of Apollo. This shows us that this person has developed their skills in expression and communication. So the things that I was getting my, pointing towards with Luna, with Neptune, with the angle of time here, with a well-developed Jupiter, and with a well-developed Mercury that's now aligned. We're looking at the right hand, and this is how this person has showing their development here. We're looking at a singer, and I knew, obviously, as I said at the beginning of this video, I know this person. I know they're a singer. They are more than that, much more. But singing is something that they are exceptionally gifted with. And this, look at just how long Jupiter is, how well developed it is. It's leaning in slightly towards Saturn, hard work and doing the right thing, planning, good sense of right, and decision making relies on the ability to kind of the right thing to do in work and in life in general. And when we look at the fingers here, we can see actually that there is a lot more alignment now, because when we look at the left hand, just look at the differences here. You've got two middle fingers close together, and now look at them. They're straight, they're equal lengths apart. Mercury takes a dive. It sort of says, right, I'm packing my bags. I don't want to be around. Mercury's saying, I need space at this time. I need isolation. Yes, I want to be around people. We've got, there is a need to kind of want to be with others, but at the same time on their own terms. And so it's sort of showing that this person, along with this sort of secondary heartline here, which kind of crashes through the heartline and down into the lifeline. It's showing heartbreak. It's showing emotional, psychological damage. And I think this person, at this time that this picture was taken, 1 year ago, just over a year ago, June last year, there was some significant damage to this person's sort of psychological framework. However, because the left hand shows us how we're thinking, how we're feeling, how things affect us internally, emotionally, the right hand shows us those very same circumstance, but it shows us how this has affected us physically, materialistically, practically, in the real world, so to speak. And here the fingers show us a very different story. Apollo is much thicker. It's not, it's stronger. This means this person is happier now. They're earning more money than they were. Mercury is not, there's not such a desperate need to get away. And the fingers aren't so close together. The two middle fingers being close together like that show us a sort of desperation almost. It shows us that this person was, at this time that this picture was taken, stuck in a rut. And that, this little finger kind of tries to get away as well. There's a need to express and communicate their thoughts and sort of to be independent on their own, to learn on their own, to self-develop on their own. And that's what everything, the fingers are kind of telling us here. That's the left hand. It's all internal. It's all introspective. Okay, so then on the right hand, you've got much more alignment now. So this person at this time that this was taken, it shows us that they've gone through a great transition in their life, that they have gone through some emotional and psychological hurt, damage, and they've come out of it the other side a much stronger, more aligned person, a much more well-developed and sort of actualized. They know themselves much better. And I say that because the fingers are straighter. They're much more in proportion. They have a good sense of, what it is they need to do in order to be happy now. And so, and that's not to say that at the time this picture was taken that everything was solved, and indeed, certain problems are always ongoing, but it's just amazing to see this transformation of this person and how they live their life. So that's absolutely fascinating. From a chirognomy perspective, this palm is absolutely fascinating. And I'm certainly going to forward this palm on to my mentor, Terry, to see what he thinks and says about this, because it's just an exceptional palm. Now, empty palms are hard to read in terms of divination because they're quite sort of closed books. I don't think it's conscious. I think they're not even entirely certain themselves. And what are the signs of ambition? I mean, look at this headline. Look at where it starts on the palm. It's very high up. This person's concentrating on how to make money, make a name for themselves, make a life for themselves. And you can sort of see it. The headline, it looks like it sort of takes a turn. So this being the right hand, this is how it affected this person. Whatever event they were going through at this time in their lives, over a year ago, just over a year. You can see how the headline kind of arcs and sort of takes a turn and crashes into the fate line almost. That's sort of how it looks. I mean, it could just be sort of heading down here, but it's a bit faint. And you've also got this one large island here. And from that island, you can see a bit of an obstacle towards career. This is hard to know exactly when this occurs. It's probably around early 30s that happens. However, the obstacle in their career looks about late 30s. So I would certainly recommend mid to late 30s that this person guards themselves, stick to the straight and narrow around that time. And also around the age of around 50 as well, I think this person needs to pay particular attention to their heart around this time. they'll be okay. It's just that with the width of the palm in conjunction with the wrist, there's a greater risk of heart issues from around 40 onwards in anyone's palm. And here we can see some strain, and it's shown in the left palm as well. This is the sort of inherent possible heart issues that's inherited. So this person will need to take it easy, not work too hard around this time. And I know they won't take my advice on that, but it's really important. 53 onwards, to look after their health, start relaxing a bit more. And in general here, actually, and I've forgotten to mention this is a palm that my mentor Terry would say, this is like a person who is driving through life with the handbrake on, because the palm itself is, I'm going to go black here because of the whiteness in the background, is actually almost too large for the fingers. And it shows this desire, this need to keep moving forwards and to keep working and to keep coming up with new ideas, to keep putting themselves out there, to keep doing. And I'm just really glad that Jupiter's so well developed here. So, you know, it's high enough here as well. Excellent level of self-assurance, as well as a good ability to make the right decisions. We've got some good balance here in the Jupiter finger. So I'm not too concerned, but it's just that, you know, there can be a bit of a tendency to just not listen to the body and to just burn out. There is a risk of burning out here. In fact, let's have a little look. No, okay, that's good. In general, this is a very healthy person. However, there are some, don't know if you can see these little yellow spottings here. Yellowness in the palm suggests a kind of bilious nature, I suppose. And this shows us some damage to the liver and kidneys. I'd like to see this person's palm now, a year on. That would be an excellent case study just to compare. So in terms of the future, from this time, this sort of 53 onwards, we can see the career actually now a decision to take time out. So maybe they will take my advice and make use of the money that they've made. This looks like an inheritance line, and actually just enjoy life and stop working so hard and look after themselves. And perhaps, let's have a look. I can certainly see the possibility for one child in the future. But as I say, I'd like to look at this person's palm now. So that's all I'm going to say, I think, because I'm not 100% certain on anything else. So there we go. I hope that's all made sense. And, you know, something a little bit different because I already know this person. I am still saying what the palm is showing me, but I'm sort of saying it in terms of how that relates to what I know about the person. So thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, please chuck them down. If you'd like me to read your palm, please note there is like about a month wait now because I'm inundated with requests, which is great. I'm amazed at the responses, at all the comments, all the attention. I do like it. And I'm just really pleased that this is working, that these video readings are working. You guys get, you know, your confidentiality, you get to maintain that, you get to remain anonymous at the same time as having a personalized reading. Excellent. What's not to love? I get some views, you get a free reading. So it's working and I'm loving it. It's just very difficult for me to do at the same time as a full-time job, that's all. So I'll do what I can when I can. Please hang in there. If I've told you you're getting a reading, you will, but it might take some time. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll catch you on the next one.